Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Carol Mitchell, and I'm here to read and to play from my book, Noah, True Love Never Dies. The book is getting amazing reviews, so I thought, what better time would it be than to start reading the book onto YouTube? So anyway, this is the first chapter, and keep in mind that Noah, True Love Never Dies is a coming of age story. So we're going to follow the life of Tiffany Mitchell from her first innuendos of love all the way up to her mature life, and the book ends with her being 65. So let's begin back in elementary school, if you will. Okay, chapter 1, Noah, True Love Never Dies. Remember, the book is available on Amazon.com. As a kid, I attended Manchester Elementary School at 661 West 87th Street in Los Angeles, California. So how many of you know where Los Angeles is? Los Angeles, California. Yes, we're going to talk a lot about transitional towns with Tiffany. Let us continue, please. So she attended school at 661 West 87th Street in Los Angeles, California. I knew the school well because I attended classes there from the kindergarten up to the sixth grade. A superb learning institution. It was where I learned to read in Mrs. Fox's class. So believe it or not, it was there that I first caught emotions for someone of the opposite sex. Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to your young kids because there are some things and emotions that you may not understand at that age. Well, anyway, common sense tells one that when one is a mere child in elementary school, you never perceive a child entering the sixth grade to fall in love. Of course, children enter this early stage of education to learn how to write in cursive, to read, to learn math, and much more. Now, kids on the playground, they swing to extraordinary heights. They play tetherball or they master to twirl wildly on the monkey bars. Well, I too entered the sixth grade with the same kid goals. In fact, I was a competitive little girl, honey, a tomboy who prided myself on beating up boys. Yes, this included crying over hearing the incredible voice of Tina Turner, thinking she was hurt, until my grandmother explained to me, no, baby, she was just singing. Having survived all but the highest grade at Manchester, having excelled in school overall, something unexpected happened to me. That last year of Manchester that an 11-year-old girl could not handle. In fact, no one told me the sixth grade was going to be a memorable year for me. No one could ever agree it would be the first in my many years of living where I felt this crazy attraction to the opposite sex. Did it start this early? The answer is a resounding yes, which happened to travel to places beyond my control. He'd been in kindergarten with me, so oddly enough, we remained in the same classes from the beginning up to the sixth grade. Now, furthermore, Kenneth and I were good friends. The boy that stopped me from running outside to those monkey bars was an adorable little brown-skinned boy who taught me how to play marbles in the hallway before class began. Moreover, he dressed better than any other boy at school before or since those days. With his big brown eyes, he smiled at everyone until I became the possessive little girl who interpreted this kindness as being just for me. With expressive big eyes shooting out of a big head that was quite large, Kenneth's smile was tremendous, which earned him the nicest boy in class several weeks in a row in Mrs. Fox's class. Though I was never voted as the nicest girl in class, Pamela Metcalf was. It turns out that I was not the only girl in Mrs. Fox's sixth grade class that liked Kenneth. No, I was not. Mrs. Fox normally entered the class with a yardstick to let us know that if we got out of line, she used that stick. Now, during the latter part of the sixth grade, I came to school looking to please Kenneth as my admiration for the little boy began to blossom. I'm telling you, especially because of how well dressed he was. I did maintain control well enough as to not find myself on the other end of that old teacher's yardstick. You know what I mean? In fact, I was smart enough to be excellent in reading and to cover up anything else that was going on. Besides that, Kenneth was the only boy in the entire elementary school dropped off in a black limousine. Yes, I'm telling you, they did that every morning. He wore a black bow tie with a white shirt to school every day. His black shoes were always polished, no doubt. In the sixth grader, I found myself excited about going to school. In fact, I often wondered if we get to go to junior high or Compton High School together. The great thing about liking a boy at such a young age is there are no expectations. Nothing will play out. For the most part, that could happen would be that Kenneth would be a balance that I'd look for the rest of my life in order to judge other boys. Yes. Over time, my liking of this young man became too real to me. I mean, that was when I decided to ask him to be my boyfriend, but I needed to talk to my Nana about it first. That day of note became one of the most memorable days of my life because it was in May when there was only one more month of the sixth grade left before we graduated on to junior high school. Now, I got home from school one day when my grandmother came over to take the children to the amusement park and then shopping. Get in the car now. No, come on. Pacific Ocean Park. Yeah, you got to get in the car, my grandmother said. She was a beautiful woman who worked as a cook in Beverly Hills during the week. On Friday, she collected all my mother's children to spend the weekend with her in West Los Angeles. She loved spending time with her grandbabies, of which there were many. Today, with her black hair offset by turquoise blue eyes, she looked lovely out of the white uniform. At a young age, Nana was the only person I could talk to, so if I could pull her away from my brothers and sisters, that would be a major feat because we all loved her attention. I was excited to tell her about Kenneth. Later in the car on our way to the ocean park, we passed Manchester Elementary School when there was an overwhelming desire for me to talk to my grandmother. I wanted badly to share my feelings about this little boy with her. A year earlier, I told her about my friend Lynn White while making the mistake of talking to her in front of my older brother who mocked me forever about it. Mama, I got a friend named Lynn White. Mama, I got a friend named Lynn White. I didn't want to hear that again. So back then, my grandmother was proud that I met a new friend in the Los Angeles School District, which helped me considerably in my new relationships at school. Now, today, my feelings for the boy made me tongue-tied, so while I captured my grandmother's attention, I was at a loss for words. As we filed out of the car to attend activities at POP, pronounced POPPEEOHPEE. Now, back in the day, this playground was a joint venture that opened in the late 50s. On the weekends, the park drew as many as 37,262 people, which outnumbered Disneyland's attendance back in the day, so needless to say, it was the coolest spot to be in. It goes without saying that we all enjoyed going there with my grandmother. Now closed, back then it was loud enough of a place to talk to my grandmother with some discretion without my older sisters or brothers listening in, if you know what I mean. Tiffany, you have been telling me all day that you want to share something with me, my grandmother said loudly above the noise. I was so nervous. At 11 years old, I did trust my grandmother with all my heart, but I was, as a matter of fact, aware that the might and the means would not match. I'm telling you, love coming out of an 11-year-old's mouth is not something you want Nana to know. Instead of telling her about Kenneth, I grabbed her by the waist while I cried, my eyes out. I cried. That was all I could do. And then my nosy sister Lane came up, and out of nowhere, she gave Grandma the tea. Is this about that boy you have a crush on at Manchester? My older sister began laughing. Later at the mall, as the other kids, including Lane, raced inside for ice cream, I simply continued to cry. Baby, whatever is on your mind, my grandmother said to me. Don't you ever feel you can't talk to Nana about it, she said, as she leaned down to dry my cheeks. Let's catch up with the others for ice cream, my grandmother said to my tear-filled smile. Feeling better as kids do very quickly, in seconds I caught up with my brothers and sisters at the mall, feeling intuitive that my attitude had something to do with Manchester Elementary School. My beloved grandmother ended up buying me the prettiest dress I have ever seen in my life. It was gorgeous, red and green plaid, and the top of the dress was decorated with a white pinafore with a black bow tie, just like the one Kenneth wore, leaving me to wonder how Nana knew about him until I remembered what Lane said earlier. I held the dress, yes, to my small chest. For the whole time we drove from West Los Angeles back to my mother's home in East Los Angeles, tomorrow was going to be easier for me to speak to Kenneth. I was going to look so pretty in my new dress with the new white socks and black patent leather shoes Nana bought me. That night, my grandmother washed and pressed my hair. Later in bed, when my grandmother went home, I kept looking at that beautiful new dress that I laid out on the dresser for tomorrow. Of all the beautiful things I have enjoyed having over my lifetime, that dress has stuck in my memory even to this day. So, ladies and gentlemen, that ends chapter one of Noah True Love Never Dies. Make sure you go out and get this book on Amazon.com and stay tuned because next time I'll be reading chapter two and it is called The Disappearing Act. Thank you.